The ICC World Test Championship final is just 6 days away. 7th June, you're going to see India and Australia collide at the final in Oval. Now, this is the first and the only test that India are playing at this point in time. But it is that first test that has always been a problem for India when it comes to the SENA countries. What are the SENA countries? South Africa, England, New Zealand, Australia. Now, India are playing in England, one of the SENA countries, and as is the norm in the ICC World Test Championship final, it will always be played in England until 2025 when Lords will host it. Now, why am I saying that? Can India overcome their first test SENA nightmare? Because whenever India have embarked on a tour to the SENA countries, South Africa, England, New Zealand and Australia, the first test has always dictated the way how the tour or the series will go. And inadvertently, why we have been saying that barring Australia, why India has struggled in the rest of the SENA countries for a very long time. It is because of that first test curse. You would argue that, oh, but in 2021-2022, when the match was held in England, 5 tests spread across 2 years, India actually drew the first test against England, didn't they? But that wasn't the first test. The first test that they played in England that year was the World Test Championship final against New Zealand. And you all know what happened. In the first game of that tour, they were hammered by 8 wickets. Lack of acclimatization, lack of proper warm-ups, that is the main reason. Now, in this video, ahead of the Oval Test, I will again tell you why India have that first test nightmare in the SENA countries. So, looking at the broader picture, India have reached the ICC World Test Championship final for the second straight time, and they now have a chance to break a 10-year ICC trophy drought. June and ICC events, well, in England, if you look at it, India have a rather good history of it, because in 2013 during the Champions Trophy, India won the final against England and they managed to ensure MS Dhoni completed the Grand Slam as a captain when it came to white ball cricket. 2017, you may argue that yes, they didn't have a good time when they lost in the final to Pakistan. But 2023, again they are in the final at the Oval. Let's just hope that India can do it, because it's 10 years in counting. You have now 2 ICC events, World Test Championship and the ODI World Cup later in the year, where India can potentially end with not just 1, maybe with 2 ICC events. But the biggest impediment for them is this particular statistics. India traditionally have never done well in the first test of the SENA countries for the last 37 years. You have to go all the way back to 1986, and I'll give you a reason why 1986 has been chosen as the cutoff point, because record in England is very, very dire, and I will tell you the reasons why is it very dire as well. So, if you have to look at the SENA countries, breakup of first test wins, remember, it is not a draw. I'm not counting a draw as a win, it's an outright win. If you have to look at it, breakup of the first test wins in SENA countries since the 90s. In Australia, India have won just once. That was in 2018 in that Adelaide match. Remember, the 2018 Adelaide match did not have a pink ball test. It was a red ball test, and India won that match by 31 runs. Prior to that, in 2014-15, they had lost the Adelaide Test match. 2011, you all know what happened. 2007, you lost in Melbourne. 2003, you drew in Brisbane, and then you won in Adelaide. 1999, lost all 3 tests. Same in 1992, lost 4 out of the 5. And then, if you go back even further, then India had a little bit of success. But in the 90s onwards till now, Australia, they have only won once. That was in 2018. Remember, even in their historic 2020-2021 tour, India lost the first test in Adelaide, bowled out for 36. In New Zealand, they have won only once. That too, after 1976, 33 years later in 2009, they won the first test in Hamilton. But prior to that, 2002, lost all tests. 98, lost the first test in Wellington. 94, they were held to a draw. 1990 also, they lost the series there as well. So, India in New Zealand have not done well. They have done very well in South Africa. Remember, 1992, they didn't win a match. 1996, they didn't win a match. In 2001, they didn't win a match. In 2006, it all changed, with India winning in Johannesburg by 123 runs. Further heartbreaks would come. 2010 lost in Centurion but rebounded back in Durban. 2013 lost the game in drew in Johannesburg but then lost in Durban. Then 2017-18 you lost in Cape Town. 2021 you won in Centurion but you lost in Johannesburg and Cape Town. But look at England. 0. They have not won the first test there ever since 1986. In 1986, India won there the first opening test. 1990, they lost. 96, they lost in Edgbaston. Then again, you look at in 2002, lost in Lords but bounced back in Leeds after drawing in Trent Bridge. 2007, escaped with the draw at Lords but won in Trent Bridge. 2011, lost. 2014, the first test in Trent Bridge was drawn but India won the second test. Then again in 2018, lost in Edgbaston. And now, if you look at it, 2022 drew in Trent Bridge, by the way, but they didn't win it. The first test there was India versus New Zealand, where they lost. So, first test of a SENA country, if India can conquer that, most likely they will win, except in South Africa. Because they have won the first test twice there, but they have gone on to lose the series. Same in New Zealand, won in 2009, won the series with draws in Wellington and in Napier. Same in Australia, won in Adelaide, lost in Perth, but later on bounced back in Melbourne. So, first test of a this thing is a big problem. Now, why is the problem? Very short turnaround period. From the IPL final, yes, people may have come in batches, but now they have started training with intensity with just 6 days to go. No warm-ups and lack of acclimatization similar to 2021. They didn't have any warm-ups because they were busy with the IPL, but New Zealand's players went and played 2 tests and that helped them acclimatize. Baggage of first test and 2 wins in 50 years at the Oval. You thought that India's first test woes are a problem. India's Oval problems are also huge because 1971 and 2021. These are the only 2 times in the 87-year history of India playing at the Oval that they have won. 1936, they remained unbeaten. They couldn't win there for 35 years when Ajit Wadekar's team won, thanks to Bhagwat Chandrasekhar's spell. But after that, for nearly 50 years, India managed to win that Oval Test match and they ensured they wouldn't lose the series. But then COVID struck and later on when they came first year in 2022, only test played there, by the way, they were baseballed. So that is the reason why. Very short turnaround period, no warm-ups and lack of acclimatization, same for 2021. And you could also add COVID. Because New Zealand was in the green territory, they had very few COVID cases at that time. They could enter England without a lack of a hard quarantine. They didn't need to go into quarantine if you are from New Zealand. But if you are from India, because India was in the red zone at that time, you had to undergo a mandatory hard quarantine period there. So that is the reason why all these factors combined together, India lost the ICC World Test Championship final that time. Can India avoid the first test woes heading into Oval? Because if they don't win this, then it continues that unfortunate trend that has been there for close to 30 years now. And remember, India have a 37-year history to break in England. 1986, they had last won the first test there. They have not won a test match, the first test, ever since then. So this represents a golden opportunity for India. If they do not do it, they only have the ODI World Cup to fall back upon, which will be held in India this year. India versus Australia is going to be a cracking contest, a neutral venue, evens out for both the teams. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this live. We'll be back with more updates on sports today. Tap that bell icon so you know when we go live, and don't forget we are on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram as well. Thank you.